Everybody, thank you so much for joining me. Polina here, talking to you about September and what's going on. And yes, please check out my Patreon below. It has changed a little bit, and I now have all signs available for this month, plus day-by-day predictions, plus special features, and also just a few words about some interesting topics coming up during this month from yours truly. So here we are, what is going on astrologically and energetically in September. So first of all, we have a very, very fine line between things. It's not just about pushing energy. It's not just about making a change. It's not just about having friends come over or doing things in bulk. The time of bulk is through. Leo has made us feel very grateful and very hearty and very predisposed to largeness and bulk views, bulk ideas. Also, Leo has made it possible to be friends with some really awesome, creative, altruistic, happy-go-lucky, deep, and phenomenal people. The leaders have come forward in some cases, or there was a very big part of the world or big party of people that have maybe supported you, or there are ideas that you still have maybe left over from Leo that are just, whoa, amazing. So this kind of vivacious and maybe slightly arrogant, deep-rooted and trustful time of Leo's replaced by very cynical, finicky, and a nervous Virgo. But it's not just nervous, it wants to do the thing today. Virgo wants to do it now. So if you have younger people around you, especially, and if you, for example, are a parent to a teenager, you would know what I mean when I say they want to do it now, they want to do it all. So like young people are really designing this world during this time. There's a big flamboyant energy coming from the youth sector, entertainment industry. There's very much flamboyance coming from young people today. There's a lot of freshness, there's a lot of vibe, and also there's a lot of jive talking. Maybe people want to do everything too soon and too quick. So it's very, very easy to also get addicted and nervous to anything new, fresh technologies, innovation, and also, I suppose, a little advice for the younger audience members, if they are such listening to me today, and also, I suppose, their parents. Don't try, just help like a little bit, but don't make it all about you. Don't push the cart uphill. Don't make the workload that you no longer need to have, and don't be that big guy right now when you don't have to, because it is not programmed in yet, or it is not specific to the times. Being very zealous, being very, very intense about other people and their results, wanting to be bigger than you can be. Also helping other people with projects that will never get done. It's very, very important that people take that altruism, that amazing energy down a little bit and kind of simmer, because that's enough to solve a lot of problems that you have. So maybe you have debts, a lot of debts, and it's better to cover those debts than to spend that energy or that money or these resources doing some really crazy, amazing and excessive things, because Virgo, especially during a rabbit year with Saturn opposite Virgo and Pisces, does not like excess. It does not want to be part of excess culture. So maybe you or your teenager or somebody young and somebody very zany wants to become somebody too quickly. Maybe they want the microphone in their hands. Maybe there is a very big hard or altruistic position in life that someone is taking, and maybe it is about volunteering, maybe it's about being somebody, also maybe it's kind of about being in a crowd of people that supports one, or makes like a very big miracle or very, very great sensation. Another great comparison is steroids, like somebody wanting to get on steroids during this time, or taking steroids already and having some big changes, or people having a very, very deep and desperate plan. So these different needs and desperate plans, they are not noticed by other people. So this is quite interesting. Also, a person that is in desperation trying to get hold of somebody or trying to make the most out of their life may not necessarily have a chance. We want bulk. Jupiter, Uranus conjunction, also next to Sedna. Don't rope yourself into anything that you have no idea about. Also, with this intense trine in the sky, sure, between also Pluto and I suppose Mercury and to a degree Mars as well, we have to be very, very careful and conscious as to what we're a part of, and also how addicted we are to certain media, how hopeful we are when it comes to certain world events or world truths, and also certain special events in our lives. Do we have higher hopes than is legitimate to have? Do we have, for example, also more than we really need? Some people also have to wake up. Now, this is the good part of it. Maybe you have more than is needed in a situation. So, in a way, this is about drop by drop. So, for example, the good part, okay, having very economical living conditions, very economical living situations, and then like also having an incredible amount of savings and distributing those savings drop by drop. Also distributing potential drop by drop, dripping through and counting on less. Less is more, also in certain sequences. And in certain situations, you don't have to be there all the time. You can show up once, and that's enough. You can say it once, and that's enough. You don't have to keep on bombarding. So, also, for example, if you are somebody here that's wanting to get very iconic, if you want to push your thoughts or ideas through, if you are very also left off center as an artist or a personality, or maybe even an online presenter, or a psychic, you have to be aware that sometimes one little wink from you is sufficient. You don't have to breathe fire. And also, yeah, I'm currently writing the book for 2024. This will be my 8th almanac. So I write an almanac every single year, and I help you guys with the coming changes, so you guys have all the alignments, before they happen. And also, yes, they are posted on Patreon. In case you're interested, have a look. But this is the thing, it's not dragon time yet. It is not dragon time yet, but I do definitely see and sense how since about June, July, some people have been kind of bartering with time and programming people, breathing fire and wanting to have also a certain escape or a very quick mission, or to have their wings spread out wide. But you see, we are only in rabbit, so what wings are there to speak of? So this is also about smaller communities, small time spending and saving, small time relationships. Now, this is not something that everybody necessarily wants to know about or hear. Sometimes small time careers, tiny people, tiny, small, beautiful pieces of art during this time, small talk, small, tiny elements, very carefully worked, very carefully presented ideas, and also very kingly and special and spicy, but kind of conformist views can get a lot more during this time than things that are trying to be too intense. And also, if there is a psychotic element, an overbearing romantic element, or a depressed element during this time, it is lost on others. People might meet you with deaf ears, as they say. Yeah, so how to distribute your energy during this time? So the best part of September is that a lot of things are possible. It's nice to shorten your interest in some things. And we're not infinite, our batteries are not infinite. So you basically take back your energy from where it doesn't serve you right. So for example, if you're in front of the computer all the time, you don't get enough sun, go to the sun. You don't need to sit in front of the computer all day. If you're making friends online, you have no real friends, cull that process, go have fun with somebody real. Considering also like finances, work, diet, hygiene, beautiful month to cleanse, beautiful month to stay also in a way emotional in a subdued way, and try to kind of feel out where are your mistakes and where are these corners and edges of your world that could get filed down to a more even and stable level. It's about finesse, it's about the last few touches on something. I mean, if you think about it, Libra is a sign of eternity, as will be falling into Libra by the end of the month. And also we do have the equinox, spring/autumn equinox, depending on the hemisphere. So there's a very, very lucky and likely chance that things are going to stay strong and be very well built and will now face the test of time with all of those little nuances and small actions and tiny hints and perhaps small time choices made in Virgo. So being a smaller person, also Mercury is a minimizing energy. Mercury can contract certain energies as well as it propels things forward. So there's a contracting frequency in Virgo, and of course Mercury enjoys Virgo, but he's in retrograde for a while. And I mean, what I can say is that we've got lots of densities that we have to meet with clarity and a concise, simple, and also available ethic. So there needs to be a spring energy, a sprightliness, positivity. In certain cases, people have to be all about the fine details. And in some cases, they have to be kind of careful about this altruism and about this personality that might come through during this time. So there is nothing worse than an overbearing altruist. But with some time and some needed action, people are going to get some good results. Action going all the time. It's like, for example, going to the same job every day, trying a new yoga position all the time, meaning well constantly. So this constant talk, also to the same people, being around the same places, kind of etches things into a nice even standing. So like the more you talk to somebody, the more close and the more humble they are with you. The more you put into your routine, the more better you are at it. So yeah, it is definitely kind of about work and workmanship and craftsmanship, and to a degree taking quite a lot in, and then out of like a variety of thoughts, a variety of patterns, a variety of different tools, you start to really make things your own, and you start to get into that crafter's mind when it comes to your work ethic and your life, and make it. You will make it. So yeah, making it big. It's not just about making it big. It's like making a purpose more finessed, making your life more refined, giving your time more sparkle and more hope, and also not to forget to rejoice. And for those of us that don't need to do this, and there are also many people that don't need to do this, the road is empty and free. It's kind of a free for all. So some people can let go, some people can fly away, some people go to the other side of the world or to the moon or something like that. There's a lot of people that don't have anything else to do now. And maybe that's because they've been very diligent, maybe because their ancestors have done all the work. And in some cases, it's because of clarity. So, this diligent eye for detail, this obsession with results that we see in Virgo, isn't upon us all. Some of us don't care anymore. It's like, I get it. I see the forest for the trees. I'm gonna go to bed, actually. So this is not for every single person, but they are shortcuts. It's not just about shortcuts, just like telling yourself other stories and laughing off what you thought you would do for the rest of your life. Sometimes there's nothing more than a goodbye kiss during this time. There is nothing more than an ending and a certain type of surfacing of a completely new life. So this is not for everybody, but in certain cases, you might be really over it. You no longer want the same life result. I talk a lot about that during the full moon prognose that happened on the 30th of August. So there is like no show, and you might already see it. So like people are dropping off. There's no career choices in the previous sector anymore. There are no choices now. There is no forward action. And also there are no forward people in some regards. If you wanted to, you can just pack up and move now. So in some cases, it's kind of nice to just move out and not to have to contend with all those boring details and the alchemy of the daily life, like what makes things happen. Like, for example, you have to do so much work to make something. For example, if it's true artistry, like making cheese or wine, or you have to study so much to get good grades. And with some people, there's a certain type of fire, or there's a certain type of recognition, and a certain type of maybe need, or like a shallow understanding that comes over during this time that goes, nah, nah. And that is something that we cannot stop. So this is not about the body kicking in and doing some stuff anymore. It's just about a certain type of sulkiness in certain cases, and in other cases, it's a non-result. This is not my job. you know. So for example, you might notice when you speak to your kids or significant other, or you might notice that when it comes to your actual job, you might just say, look, this is not part of my job description. No, you know, so that nah sometimes is worth more than trying to tighten and shape up and paying attention to all the little bolts and bulbs and bits, because these are not going to be necessary at all. So that means that some people are going to be able to be somebody without having to study. And this is an interesting time also for me to understand there is a shortcut. There's not just a shortcut, there is just a sure way that things just work. And then you stop kind of pursuing these miracles that you thought about for such a long time. It's like, look, this works. That makes a very, very simple break between what you thought you had to do and what you're doing now. Also, a lot of traditional things, traditional way of life, or traditional medicines, or traditional thinking patterns might have to stop. And people go, look, you just take a pill for it, don't worry about it, you know. Or there's like a 1 second, like a split second solution that can change your game without having to go through all of this that you're doing today. And that sometimes is correct. And there is no cunning in it as well. So this time around, we don't have anybody that's trying to undercut anybody. But if they are, you know, there's going to be also truths in that, you know. So there is a very, very interesting way that people have to evolve, basically. And it's not about just like chopping wood and carrying water anymore. It's about having a very, very interesting dream time. So probably it's worthy to talk about innovation, innovating technologies. Also Jupiter, Uranus in conjunction in regards to this trine with Mercury. And also Pluto, like some people are like, no way, you can't do this way anymore. I want you to stop, and I want you to try something better, also in terms of teaching, also in terms of how people see the world, how people look at life. There's going to be quite a lot of young people, altruistic people, changing the world with just their thoughts and words. And then a lot of people would just say, look, you're doing things the wrong way because this is a long way, and the long way doesn't work for me now. So, for example, if you've been doing things a lot in your life, you know, taking into consideration all these fine details, fine lines, you might say, haha, what for? Look, like, for example, there's a machine that can do this for me. Or like, there's a person I know that can make these things for me half the time, half the price than what it would take me. So there's like a lot of shortcutting, and to some degree, that's not going to be all there is. So there's going to be kind of like a hole, or like a wormhole, as they say. It is going to go till like the end of time, and people are going to really innovate and evolve in innovative technologies. And it's going to be a thing of the past. It's like, wow, this is not how you do. This is not how you do YouTube, or like this is not how you cook, or this is not how you make friends. And I know that's also very, very nice, but AHA also is a very, very turbulent time, and we are close to the DC point. And Virgo speaks a lot of the unseen details and unseen thinking patterns that are under the surface. Also speaks of the organs, you know, and also having certain type of backlog karmically. And then Libra makes it really make or break. So in some cases, you think it's a great idea to do all of these things now, and then Libra says no, you know. Or sometimes you may think that a certain idea is really great, and you might get really hysterical about it, like innovative technologies or like time capsules or something very, very crazy during Virgo that you want to perfect and work on. Or you want to even serve or be guided by. So this could be completely new internet technologies, new ways of life, new ways of thinking, completely new music genres awakening during this time, a completely new set of skills or a new set of colors, and then it just goes bye-bye. So it's kind of like a race car, and it goes past really quick, and there's no sustenance. So also what works in the world, what you can keep behind, what you can keep behind. So this is about permanent results. So Virgo wants to sometimes dream so big, it's kind of out of this world. So there's a practical energy and a story to Virgo, but there is also a contrast here, as I'm seeing with Lilith and Venus being behind the sun, but not just this. There's a very, very deep personality crisis or conflict underneath all of this. So yeah, this is all about function. It's all about work and the details and workload. It's not actually totally about that. Sometimes people are like, what if I can fly? Like, watch me fly. You know, like people go to the edge of the cliff saying, hey, look, I believe I can fly. Or like these amazing boots, they can make me hover off the ground and I won't fall, you know. So there's like a very, very quick to judge, childish temperament. Watch out in terms of your teenagers. Also, let them dream, let them do as they care or as they like, and also your own dreams and ambitions, because they might actually be not necessarily dangerous, but they might be so out of this world they don't belong on this planet, or not yet. So we have to understand also gravity and the cause and effect. There are some results that are out of this world. They are too impractical for us. They don't belong on this planet. Also, it's very, very interesting to see certain life results or certain ideas basically going bye-bye. And it's not a bad feeling. It's just knowing that to be in this body, to experience life on this planet, to have to eat and, you know, go to the bathroom and to have to sleep and all of these things, there are certain laws and there are certain rules which Libra is going to tell you everything about. So Libra, come the end of Virgo, is going to be very much about this disgruntled quality that sometimes life has when it starts to teach you and pick at you a little bit if you don't know like what it takes, you know. So law and order, of course, and things that have to go in a certain way. And even though Virgo has incredible ideas and it's very bright and early during this time, it's very epic and it's very sincere and it's very childlike and it's very, very deep and it's very phenomenal and phenomenalizing. It might not take care of the simple results or facts that you achieve during this time. So, for example, it would be very easy to learn how to cook very, very creative and unique dishes, and then only to notice that they give you gas and indigestion when Libra comes or by the end of Virgo. Or, for example, to innovate something in your world to make a completely different or new outlandish idea, which doesn't have any place in your world. For example, you paint your house red and then you can't sit in that house, you can't spend time in that house. So there's also like something very weird and kind of very interesting or very confusing. Things might reach a certain climax point and eventually find a certain demise, or they can fall and then you need other people to help you make them better. So for example, it's like Icarus flying too close to the sun. You know, you might have an incredible altruistic and divine idea, divinely driven idea, but the minute you say something, or the minute that you overload it, and the minute that you go too far into something very sparkly and very unusual, very unique, just the minute you take too much, you know, also I talk about dose, like say you take too much of a certain drug or substance, the minute that you go over your head with something, it starts to cause havoc, and a lot of projects might be off and they won't be usable or they won't be repeated later. So be very careful also about innovation, jacking up your past or future, doing things that you've never done before, jumping higher than everybody else, using money or time or anything to better your logic. Also, innovative technologies, anything to do with YouTube, Facebook, skyrocketing things, you know, anything to do with cryptocurrency could be very volatile and could close down. There's certain coins that could be closed down very quick, or there could be like a very big dip in currencies, or there could be a very, very big phenomenal change or crash or a virus, you know, things like that, because within this reality, there are certain steps. It's really good to be humble and sometimes to tell life, I don't think so. I can do better than this. Sometimes it won't be easy to see what life gives you back. So, for example, if you've been raised by a certain type of parents, or if you have your children, you know, in front of you and you're wondering what went wrong parenting-wise, maybe they had so many dreams and wishes and ambitions without grounding and common knowledge of facts and just everyday life. They have become kind of, in a way, immoral. So, for example, you know, people that let their kids do anything eventually suffer from unruly behavior from a child or from certain tantrums. And it's not necessarily about parenting advice, but like understanding where your whim and your ideologies and your thinking patterns might be a kind of like a spoiled character trait. So acting spoiled and also wanting other people to come along with you on a course that might not actually be able to be reached during this time. It's very likely, and it's very, very important to balance this out. So the reason why is also a good or interesting time for innovation is because you've probed everything, you've tried everything, and this is probably the only thing that might help or might work. But be very, very careful. Doses, amounts, numbers, careful with people, careful about also skyrocketing other people's minds, over-promising. Always, Virgo has an over-promising part, but like we have Saturn and the opposite sign of Pisces. Over-promising and taking people by storm, making somebody belong with you without need, making a friend out of somebody that you don't need. It's a very, very careless time, and it leads to a lot of abandon, as another part of Virgo is crisis or chaos. And in certain cases, Virgos can, for example, be very diligent, very good, and then they go and make crazy stuff happen, or they think about really crazy stuff in their minds. So there is like a bit of chaos to this time anyway. And what I would probably do here is I would find a niche to belong and allow, not necessarily conformity, allow a certain grind to take over your day. So what can you do here to perfect your life? You can always make sure things are done on time. You can always make sure that you pay people back if you have any debts. Fantastic. You can take that burden off by coming out. So for example, coming out about not paying taxes or coming out about doing something untruthful. It's also very, very nice to let go and allow things to no longer be part of the question mark. Say, I understand it's just so much work, I really don't care now and I'm going to let it go. So also allowing other people to let it out. It's like letting out that the sigh and leaving other people in the places that they don't want to move from. You know, so for example, you have so many friends and they're not interested in your philosophies. Leaving them there and allowing things to just sit as they sit. Maybe there's a community or a part of the country where you live that is just not susceptible to your ideology, so it doesn't really care about what you've got to give. Well, there's lots of people that don't want to know your ideas, or they don't want to follow you back. That's really, really hard, especially for the young people, the altruistic people. So you just gotta relax and you gotta move away. And I suppose, yeah, at the end of the month we have Libra, and Libra sets things up just right. So Libra is about perfection, it's about balance, it's about a certain type of also condescending energy that comes across and says, well, obviously, you know, so there is like a certain type of infinity, yeah, because Libra is a sign of infinity, but it's also just a sign of care and kind of like a product. So from all of this work, all of this worth finding, all of this philosophy and all of this innovation, all of these jobs, there is just a very nice point. So like here's where you see the mirror to the world. All air signs may crystallize something. Like Gemini is the mirror, you know, is the gem, you know, yeah. There is a very kind of automated also energy about Aquarius. Aquarius is like what is the full flower, the full bloom of your life, or what is the full bloom of your joys, and what is the crystalline quality to some of your favorite things in life, you know. And to a degree, it's also about taste and charisma and building the personality and humanity and the psyche of the greater whole. But it's not just about this; it's about information and it's about purity of that frequency. And then also we have Libra, and Libra, of course, is the only inanimate sign as well. It's the harshest of them all sometimes, although meaning to be the kindest. It's a very, very beautiful balancing time. And then inevitably, as we go into October, we're going to mean something really big. So people are not going to be just looking for shortcuts and quick change and a way to apply their magic to everyday life. There's going to be a certain type of dullness this year round to this whole cycle, but there is going to be a kind of meanness and a good looking, clear lump sum result, or just an epic result in some cases, or very good, sturdy and time-worthy permanent result is going to be what Libra wishes for, and what it is going to provide or prove. It's like a formula: 2 plus 2 equals 4. Like, there is a formula that Libra will give, and an answer, maybe slightly condescending reason why things are the way they are. So if you can imagine, Libra is going to be like an elder, to this childish Virgo. If you can imagine, the bottom of the chart is like the children, and the top of the chart is like the elders, in a sense. Um, so Libra is going to dismiss a lot of this mind and a lot of this also confusion and this obsession with purity that Virgo brings, because Libra just says, well, yeah. And that's what we basically will have to have a lot of care for, because it's very easy to forget that the results and the quantums in Libra have a certain standing power, and they have a certain grace that lasts for a really long time. So there's a permanence. And therefore, there is a truth. So people think that Libra is ruled by Venus. I believe it is also ruled by Saturn, because to me, Libra has a certain type of timeless equilibrium and a certain type of mathematical purity to it. And it is a sign of perfection, equality, perfection, and balance. And that means that there is going to be a stop and see feeling. So what we sometimes do by the end of the month as well, we forget as to what Libra says. Like, a lot of Libras in the group, they just like forgotten. It's like, oh, it's not that it's boring necessarily. It's just, it's a little bit benign. Like, I can't really feel it. Like, it's not like feisty, it's not colorful, it's not cold, and it's not hot. It's like balanced. And that's we kind of like forget everything that Libra teaches us. So Libra is a great reminder as to why that is that and this is this. Why black is black and white is white. Why day is day and night is night. Why cold is cold and hot is hot. We need to really know that by now. But unfortunately, we live in such a time, especially with social media and things. We've been looking for miracles all our lives, maybe, or for such a long time, to be born in this era. And we want it all to make sense quick. We want efficiency, and we want a certain type of deep meaning at the same time. And we want so much flavor. We have so many reasons that we don't want to do the same things that our ancestors have done anymore. But here's the thing: when we hit the first few days of Libra, it's going to be like, but that's the law. And we have to just relax and not confide in anybody else. Sometimes you have something just completely show you the facts, or somebody, but you go and you kind of gossip with your friends. You're like, that person is so out of line. How dare they say this? So like, that's the thing. It's like, Libra comes and it gives you all the facts really quick, and then you just basically have to stay not necessarily humble, but heeding to that which happens in Libra, because it lines everything up, and it just doesn't even need to be said or done. You don't have to apply any more power strategy. You don't have to move anything from its places. You can just see the exquisite sentiments that are going to, by accident, find you during the first few days of Libra and beyond, as you are not needing to do anything else but what you've done. You've got to center on those equations that you got right, and you shouldn't need to play with life anymore. Just let it go as it does, and allow it to be as it is, and leave it as it is naturally. So you don't have to, like, for example, put makeup on your face. Just leave it natural. You don't have to like plow away at the field. Just like pluck the fruit that is already on the trees naturally. You don't have to go and do that thing all the time. You can just relax and let go and find something else, maybe even better and easier to do. So it's like kind of also about the norm. Like, this whole part of the chart, this 6th and 7th house, Virgo and Libra, just normalize it, which is where alkaline plants, alkaline water, um, and medicines like that, natural medicines work. Also, sometimes things are so crazy and weird, and it could all boil down to your water supply at the end of the day. It could just be because, for example, you are living in cold weather, in a cold climate, or it could be just because you don't have any friends. A very simple question and answer response is what you need. But do you have the inner courage and the legitimacy within your spirit to see nature and time for what they are? Or do you kind of want to like make it frilly and funny and kind of distract yourself from the actual from the actual truth? So noise is, I feel, what is going to distract most people from the actual outcomes in their life, and is going to make them forget the possible or the obvious, is going to just become a very bland energy eventually. So it's like eating too much sugar or acids, making too many friends or talking too much, eventually leads to a certain type of tiredness, which I think we're going to be feeling by the end of the month, should we have done it neurotically, or should we be living a neurologically unsupported life, as also Mars goes towards the South Node, and that's going to be very difficult to abstain from certain experiences and certain paths. So we have a new addiction-based cycle or a new obsession cycle coming up, but we'll be talking about that later for October month. So thank you very much, enjoy, and here's the details below for my Patreon. Have a look, and also you can subscribe if you like. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time. Peace.